Tonight on News 5 Live, it's the second in 2 days. The lifeless body of another missing person is found. This time, the decomposing remains of a 17-year-old is found on the Younggal Road. The son of Minister Hulse appears in court for allegations of domestic violence against his ex with a firearm. As much as $50 million are already lost to the drought forecast. News 5 takes a closer look at these tragic incidents that have taken root in Belize. Sea to Shore Alliance receives a brand new vehicle to aid in its Manatee rescue initiative. And the festive spirit of the Christmas season is being enjoyed by children across Belize City. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
Smart customers, this is your chance to win big with Smart and Quartz Mega Raffle 2019. Starting November 6th through December 23rd, for every $5 you use on calls, texts, data, and roaming bundles for the week, you get one raffle entry to win weekly amazing prizes.
Or you can purchase a chance for just $1 by sending an SMS to You Win 8946.
On November 11th, you can win a one-night stay for two at Sunny Nassau Hotel, $100 certificate from Pink's Boutique, $500 cash from Innovative Signs, and a power washer from Brothers Habet.
Then on November 18th, win a one-night stay for two at Hopkins Bay Resort, round-trip tickets for two from My Island Air, plus $200 cash from Smart.
On November 25th, win a one-night stay for two at Sunbreeze Hotel, round-trip tickets for two from Tropicare, plus a mega basket from Grace Kennedy.
On December 2nd, win a one-night stay for two at Shaw Creek, a family photo shoot with night and day, plus dinner for two at Bird's Eye.
Then, on December 9th, win a round-trip ticket from United Airlines, plus a $1,000 savings account from Belize Bank.
Welcome to News 5 Live for Wednesday, December 18th. I am Marlene Cuellar. In Belmopan's Magistrate Court, Kensel Hulse, the son of Minister Godwin Hulse, made an appearance and was charged with harm. It follows a report of domestic violence made by Kensel's ex, the mother of his one-year-old daughter. The couple is estranged, and Nicole Usher is providing graphic details alleging that Kensel choked her in his vehicle and threatened her with a firearm on Tuesday afternoon. Usher also told police that he made a threat against her family, and those threats are not going down quietly. Today, Kensel was not charged with any firearm offense and was bailed by his father and released. Here is News 5's Hippolyta Novello with this report.
He started choke me, and at that point everything made it get dark. Like I already couldn't see or breathe properly. And
Tonight, 23-year-old Belmopan resident Nicole Usher is speaking out against her ex-boyfriend, who she says attacked her on Tuesday evening. Pictures of Usher's neck and ear show bruises allegedly caused by Kensel Hulse, who today directed the media to his attorney.
Anything I have to say, please speak to my attorney.
Sir, so at this point in time, you are on bail. What are your next steps?
Wait.
According to Usher's statement to the police, Hulse arrived at her sister's house where she was at the moment. His visit was simply to return their one-year-old daughter. Usher got into his pickup truck, and that's when he attacked her with a firearm, according to the police report.
when I got in the car, the truck, he locked the door and turned on the music. So I said, all right. And anyway, after that, he never want to give the baby over to me. So I said something, and he backhand me. So my head flew against the seat, and I'm a curse, and I like, you never had to do that. And then he backhand me again, and after that, the baby, like, she was crying a lot, and he passed her over to me. And when he gave the baby to me, he get up out of his seat, and he started choke me. And at that point, everything made it get dark. Like I already couldn't see or breathe properly. And he tell me who I did first, like that. And after that, he released one of his hands, and he grabbed his knife, and he put it like all over my face, and then he hold it right over here, and I have bruised blood over here because of all the force and the pressure he put there.
The violent attack halted, but according to Usher, Hulse uttered some worrying words.
He turned on the light in the truck, and then he made me look in the back, and he said that how he was started with me. He's going from my sister, my brother, and then my mom, and also one of my brother friend them. After that, he just tell me I get out of his truck, and that the baby need to be ready for 2 o'clock today, because 2 o'clock he comes for her.
But at 2 o'clock, Hulse was arraigned in Belmopan Magistrate Court. He pled not guilty to the charge of harm and was granted bail of $4,000 plus one surety. Conditions were attached to this bail, including that he must not interfere with the virtual complainant and report to the Belmopan police station every Thursday. His attorney, Herr Hamilton, says that it was Hulse who was attacked.
I am very surprised it was Mr. Hulse who is being charged rather than the virtual complainant, as my instructions are is that he was attacked. He was the one that was attacked. Mr. Hulse wasn't charged for any firearm offenses, so I can't comment on whether there was or there was not. Suffice to say that he was not charged for any firearm offenses.
I had no idea he was going to go report, and he told him that I slapped him across his face 3 times.
Is that true?
No. My question is, why would I hit him? What reason do I have to hit him?
But one person who is not fond of Hulse is Usher's mother, Sophia Holder. She was present in court today and was visibly upset that he was granted bail. What went through your mind first when you heard that he was getting bail?
Don't ask me questions like that, because you don't have me on camera. All I could think about right now is how to keep my daughter safe from this monster.
Reporting for News 5, Hippolyta Novello.
Present for the arraignment was Godwin Hulse, the Minister of Agriculture, who is the father of Kensel Hulse. The minister signed bail for Kensel, who has a previous charge for a similar offense. In March 2017, Kensel was charged with 1 count of harm committed upon Alberto Santos Lopez. His indictment came several months after a police report was made by Lopez, who told police that Kenzel pistol whipped him in January 22, 2017, while purchasing fuel at a gas station. In today's matter, the family of Nicole Usher believes that a greater charge should have been levied against Kenzel since a firearm was allegedly involved. Upon exiting the courtroom, Godwin took on the media, proclaiming that the spotlight is being shined on this particular court case because of who Kenzel is, a minister's son. Interestingly, that is the same reason that Usher's family believes that justice will not be served in this matter.
You know why it is there? Because it's a Minister Hulse's son. Otherwise, you know, wouldn't there? Hundreds of cases come for harm all the time. Nobody follow them up, etc. But Minister Hulse's son, that kid, has always have to be on P's and Q's. Let me make something clear to you. Not one of you interviewed, not even social media, when he was viciously stabbed coming out of a restaurant about a year and a half ago. In fact, the date was exactly May, I think it was May the 17th of 2017, in the hospital for 3 weeks. Nobody report that. When my other son was hijacked and his vehicle was taken from him, nobody report that. When Minister Hulse was in the United Nations representing this country with his wife and his house was broken into and his computer was stolen, and his son, the other son, was there to be able to try to defend himself, nobody report that. Nobody charged on that yet. Nobody charged for the stabbing he had yet. Nobody charged for the jacking of his truck yet. Make I finish, please. When I, as the Minister of Police, had my place robbed, almost $80,000 worth of my workshop equipment, etc., etc., they couldn't convict nobody. When this kid had that case last year, or year before last, whenever it was, at his butane place, you know what the guy said when he left the court? Well, he didn't even come. But the police officer said, he know they come back because nobody they pay him again. That's what he said, because it was a trumped up damn charge. And so I am saying in this case, this is an issue between a young lady that allegedly has a baby for him, that he was asked to babysit. Most young men no babysit nobody baby. He readily agreed. Took the child from 2 to 6 every evening for the last, I think it was about a month. And the child was getting close to him. Most young men no do that. Take off the time for babysit because the young lady says she has to work. As a result, he took back the baby, and whatever happened, happened. None of one know. Not the mother who's giving a lot of statements. Nobody nor me was in the vehicle. Nobody. So nobody no know what happened. That will come out in court when there is a trial. Nobody no know what happened. That she say, and my son say. My son speaks to me, she speaks to her mother. That's away with it.
So the complainant is saying that your son said that he can get away with it, which is goes back to the first statement that you mentioned, that we are here because he is your minister's son, he's your son.
But that is why he is in court. And you all should have been here the last time and you'd seen, I don't talk to nobody, I don't make no representation, I get an attorney. I sit there because as a parent, I'll make sure that the system runs how it's supposed to run. I do not interfere, never interfere, and never would interfere. And the issue of flight risk and all of that, that is just ludicrous, please. Have a good day, you all. No edit me.
The mother of Nicole Usher was heard early this morning on the airwaves with a complaint. She placed the call to Vibes Radio complaining of the physical assault of her daughter and granddaughter. The mother alleged the accused individual had displayed a pattern of abusive behavior but operates above the law due to his high connections in government. In a release, the PUP urges the Commissioner of Police to act decisively in addressing this situation to carry out a thorough and fair investigation. The PUP also strongly condemned all acts of violence and discrimination against women and reminds all Belizeans that no one is above the law. The PUP called on all political, religious, education, and business leaders to take a zero-tolerance approach to violence against women and to champion policies and legislation that seek to protect our women and children against abuse, sexual harassment, and violence. A second missing person was found dead this week On Monday, the remains of Densmore Bowman from Belmopan were found in a shallow grave between miles 23 and 24 on the George Price Highway. On Tuesday afternoon, the body of another Belmopan resident, 17-year-old Damien Bergal, was found. He had vanished last week and his family had been searching for him. The grisly discovery was made in the Younggale area of Tea Kettle in Cayo. Here is News 5's Hippolyta Novello with this report.
The body of Belmopan teen Damon Bergal was discovered on Tuesday night. The 17-year-old was reported missing on December 15th, and his decomposing body was found thrown in some bushes off the Younggale Road in Tea Kettle, Cayo. His aunt says that Bergal's family launched a search party, which proved futile until the grisly discovery.
The mother not strong to deal with it, so I come. I did have a pan for Sunday morning, early morning, I reached about pan. And when I reached about pan, I asked my sister, I reached straight at the station, I got straight at the police station and asked, where they going, my little nephew. They tell me, we don't hear nothing yet. I tell them no, because I just reaching for Belize. So I want to know what happened, but I went to his mother to find out what happened, So when I reached his mother, no nothing we to do with the searching. His stepfather searched every building where he could think about, all buildings, everything we think about, we try, and nothing. So I tell my sister yesterday, Mish, if my nephew no come home by today, I think he'll come home again. I know I think about the worst, but I think he'll come home again, man.
Bergal had left home at around 7 o'clock at night to an unknown location. After several searches proved futile, the family began to look for his whereabouts.
She was 17 years old. I knew he never deserved what I do to the sleep boy, yeah, man. You know on yourself. You know who kill her. You know on yourself. You know out there they rejoice right now. You having fun. But what I have to say, the only thing I have to say, man, thank you. To make we find my nephew body and make we get a closure. Right? Thank you again. And the person who passed front of my sister's house will say, if body done the rotten, I know who you are. I see your face. The three on know the ride. 2 per one bike and one the ride separate. I know who you are. So the police are dealing with everything else.
Bergal is described as a loving nephew who did not deserve such cruel death.
When I got about my nephew, he always got open arms to me. Always happy to see me, auntie. What do you want, auntie? Where the deal with auntie? You want to go buy a few, auntie? I never see nobody go there with problem when I did there after my nephew. I can't say. His mother would have to say whatever she know, but she can't take it. And I understand my sister say wait too, so I can't say nothing.
Reporting for News 5, Hippolyta Novello.
The workplace of the financial officer of the Belize Defense Force at Price Barracks in Ladyville was broken into recently, and stolen from his office was an assortment of liquor as well as an undisclosed sum of cash. The burglary, from all indications, appears to be an inside job, as the FO's office space, which is situated in between the commander and deputy commander's offices. News 5 understands that every year around this time, duty-free liquor is bought and sold to members of the BDF for them to celebrate the season with their loved ones. It is unclear how the burglar or burglars gained access to the office and stole the bottles without being detected. An internal investigation is said to be underway. There's much more news after the break, so stay tuned. men and women is on an upward trend. In some cases, they are found safely, but in a number of instances, missing persons are found lifeless. Often they're last seen alive with persons known to them. This week alone, 2 missing persons from Belmopan were found murdered. Suffering with anguish, their families reported their disappearance, and within days, their remains were found. News 5's Isani Caetano has the following story.
As the murder rate continues to climb just before year's end, the number of missing persons reports turned homicide investigations is also on the increase. Since the beginning of 2019, there appears to be an alarming trend of persons vanishing, only for them to be discovered sometime later in an advanced state of decomposition. It is a newfound reality, one that makes the job of the police department all the more difficult where it concerns solving violent crimes.
You all know that there is always ongoing feuds between rivaling groups, maybe gangs, or in some cases not gang, but persons who have issue with each other, and that may result in persons being kidnapped, taken somewhere and killed.
The commissioner's theory, not to be needlessly critical of his point of view, excludes the fact that women are also victims of these particular types of crimes. In mid-September, we reported on the heartbreaking location of 19-year-old Adamir Chok, whose remains were found in a field along the Never Delay Road.
Around 2 o'clock like that, one of our relatives, my neighbor, came and told us that they smell so they got a smell there while they are passing, going down the feeder road and going to the river. That is when we rush to the area to see if it's Adamir. So when we get there at the Never Delay feeder road, that's when I myself personally went and identified is my niece Adamir Chok. So we are so sad when we see it, but then there we satisfy when we see there when we call the police.
Chok was last seen leaving the parking lot of a nightclub in Belmopan in the company of an individual who may have also been a patron of that establishment. A few days after her discovery, 22-year-old Nelson Espinosa, a resident of Harmonyville, was arrested and charged for Chok's murder. Adamir's demise succeeded a previous incident in which Yanira Novello, a mother who was reported missing in Orange Walk, was found stabbed to death, and her 4-year-old son was also injured during the horrid incident. The prevalence of missing persons turned murder victims is not limited to any one geographical location, despite the fact that, by our count, Belmopan has seen 3 such cases in 2019 alone, including Densmore Bowman and most recently 17-year-old Damian Bregal. In that case, I asked Assistant Commissioner of Police Joseph Maivet on Monday whether there was any hope of finding the teenager alive. Is there any optimism that the young man may still be alive, or is there concern that something may have happened and now you're in recovery mode?
At this time, we do not know. So we are just following our leads being given to us, and we need to talk to those persons whom he was last seen with.
The modus operandi, it would seem, revolves around familiarity or a false sense of trust. Most victims are said to have left on their own free will with their suspected killers. In the case of 34-year-old Darwin Rock, whose remains were found near the Boomhattyville Road on August 1st, police believe that he knew the persons who killed him.
We believe that he might have known the persons who actually removed him from Belize City and took him to that location.
Returning to the unfortunate story of Densmore Bowman, whose body was found partially buried in a shallow grave on Monday. It had been almost 2 weeks since he was last seen in Belmopan, socializing before disappearing altogether. His family also believes that he knew the persons that he was with.
Friends, all of them, all these people that he was hanging out with are people that he called friends. They go to my brother's house, their children play with my brother's children, they're his friends.
But there is also the angle of persons receiving death threats that go unreported.
These are things that we need to look after, but one of the most salient things that we found in these investigations is the fact that the persons, when they do go missing, the family would then say to us that they were being threatened for some time. but nothing was said to the police. No one comes to the police. So we are never aware of the fact that these persons were being threatened until when they disappeared and are found dead.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isana Cayetano.
This morning, 21-year-old Mark Waite was found not guilty for the second time, and the judgment came 6 months apart from each other. Waite was on trial for the attempted murder of Jamelia Neal. In arriving at his decision, Justice Colin Williams said that he did not find the testimony of the accused sister, Desiree Waite, to be credible. The justice was also not convinced of the testimony of the prosecution's key witness, Jamelia Neal, in order to convict Waite. During the trial, Neal had testified that on the night of June 23, 2015, she was at a shop on Cesar Ridge Road in Belize City making a purchase when Waite pointed a gun in her face. Waite pulled the trigger, but the gun snapped. Neal then tried to escape from her assailant, who managed to fire several shots while Neal was fleeing. He was wounded in the shoulder, elbow, and hip. The accused gave a statement from the dock claiming that Neal had a grudge against him since he was a suspect in the murder of her uncle. Waite was unrepresented while senior Crown Counsel Shanice Lovell prosecuted the case. In June of this year, Waite was acquitted of journalist Kareem Clark's murder. A 2-year-old child was at the center of a domestic dispute between the parents. This morning, Mara Perez, a resident of Ladyville Village, appeared before Senior Magistrate Tricia Pitts-Anderson, where she was arraigned on a charge of aggravated assault. At the arraignment, Perez pleaded not guilty to the charge. Since there was no objection, she got bail in the sum of $2,000 plus one surety. Samuel Lawson, who shares a child with Perez, wanted to keep the child for another week longer. When he visited Perez in order to discuss the matter, Perez reportedly went into a rage and attempted to stab Lawson with a knife 3 times. The case was adjourned to February 4th, 2020. After the break, the drought wreaked havoc in the agricultural sector. The grim news is that it is not the end of it. On Tuesday, we showed you the impacts of the drought on the sugarcane fields in the north. A lot of crops have been affected by the below normal rainfall in the last couple months. Today, we spoke with the National Meteorological Service to get a full picture of the scale of the drought based on their data. While we've experienced some rainfall in the last couple weeks, the drought outlook has been downgraded for the north in the short term. But the long-term outlook shows that, again, there may be below average rainfall going into the dry season. Here's more with Andrea Polanco.
Belize, particularly parts of the north, experienced a below normal rainfall this year. For those in the agriculture sector, this led to a drought which impacted crops. Acting Deputy Chief Meteorologist Ronald Gordon says two areas in Orange Walk and Curzon were hit hard.
Specifically Tor Hill in Orange Walk, this rainy season was the second driest in record from that station. Compared the last one that was as dry was 1994, and this one is second driest compared to that year. In terms of Libertad, the rainy season was the sixth driest, in our record. So it was quite severe, especially for the northern parts of the country.
The National Met Service says that the accumulated rainfall from June to November was significantly lower than it would normally be.
Those totals on average should be about 1,000, just about 1,000 millimeters for those two stations. And what we saw this year for Libertad, it was about 700 millimeters, and Tower Hill just a bit more than that. So both of those numbers are fall about what we call below the 33 percentile, which is one standard deviation from the normal. But not to get too technical, that signifies for us that it was a very abnormally dry year.
Gordon says that the below normal rainfall resulted from El Nino activity. It's a routine climate pattern that can be exacerbated by a bigger issue of increasing global temperatures.
El Nino basically is a pattern in the Pacific Ocean whereby you have warmer than normal average sea surface temperatures. And what that tends to do is cause all the storminess to occur over that side. So you can imagine that these two oceans, the Atlantic and Pacific, are consuming from the same energy source, but that side is getting all the energy. So all the storminess is on that side, and on another side we have less storminess, basically. And those same storms that form over there tend to create strong vertical winds that tend to disrupt thunderstorms on our side of the ocean. When you put everything in the context of climate change, what it does is that climate change itself tends to make whatever is happening more extreme. So for us, we had an El Nino situation, and you compound that to the fact that we are going into a period of changes due to climate change. It makes things worse or more extreme in those situations.
Drought ranks high in terms of national weather-related economic impacts for Belize. This year alone, agricultural losses are estimated at around $50 million. But apart from direct economic impacts, drought can threaten drinking water supplies, as well as ecosystems, and can even contribute to increased food prices. So what does the Met Service projections say about droughts in Belize for the short and long terms?
We have been downgrading the north in terms of the meteorological and agricultural drought because that area has been receiving some rainfall. So in the short term, the drought concern is alleviated. However, when we're looking at the more different aspects such as groundwater, that is the water that is accumulated over an extended period of time, that is still a major concern for us because then the rainfalls that we have been receiving in, like I said, in October, has not been enough to replenish that supply of water. And then we look at the projection going into the upcoming dry season, it is indicating to us that we are going to be looking at below normal rainfall again. So in terms of the long-term drought outlook, we still have a drought warning for the entire country, especially for the north and central areas, and a drought watch for the Toledo district. But in the short term, the only areas that have a drought watch right now are the Cayo and Stan Creek district. But the north and south, we are not looking at no major concern at the moment.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
A total of $180 million in goods was imported last month, an increase of 9.2% from imports in November 2018. Increases were recorded in categories including food and live animals, which rose from $17.2 million to $23.2 million. Merchandise imports for the first 11 months totaled $1.8 billion, an increase of $46.6 million from the year before. Domestic exports, on the other hand, were also up by 28%, amounting to $26.9 million when compared to exports for November 2018. Export commodities such as marine products went up by $2.6 million. Export revenues from bananas increased by $1.4 million for November. Turning to the Consumer Price Index, results from the Statistical Institute of Belize's monthly CPI indicate that in November, the All Items Consumer Index was virtually unchanged from November 2018, with the CPI standing at 105.14. Back to the case involving Kensal Hulse. Late this evening, it prompted a statement from the Commissioner of Police. It states that on Tuesday, December 17, 2019, Nicole Usher and her ex-boyfriend Kensal Hulse were both involved in a domestic issue over their 16-month-old child. Police, he states, received reports from both parties who stated that while on Amapola Street in Belmopan, they had an altercation over the child. According to the statement, Usher reported that she was visited by Hulse, who was dropping off the child in her care. In the process, she was slapped several times in the face by Hulse when she boarded the vehicle. Hulse also claims he was slapped several times by Usher. Hulse requested no court action into the matter, whilst Usher was issued with medical forms for which the doctor certified her injuries as harm. The release concludes with the charge of harm brought against Hulse. Marcos Osorio is no longer the director of the Sugar Industry Research Development Institute, SIRDI. The Sugar Industry Control Board reportedly ordered Osorio's removal when he was informed that his contract will not be renewed. In an interview on Tuesday, BSIL Cane Farmers Relations Manager Olivia Carballo Aviles said that the decision was made and alluded as to why Osorio will not return as director of SIRDI. Aviles told the press that SIRDI is very important and in need of good research, which she believes is one of the things that the board is seeking. She directed the media to Gabriel Martinez for further questions about why Osorio is no longer with SIRDI. The opposition's Abelardo May has taken to Facebook to condemn the board's decision, describing Osorio as a professional and experienced agronomist. May alleges that Osorio's termination may have come with support from government when we caught up with the chairman of the Orange Walk branch of the Belize Sugar Cane Farmers Association, he wasn't happy that Osorio will no longer be at SIRDI.
Know that they have given a letter to Mr. Marcos Osorio, who is the director of SIRDI, on which they are saying that they are terminating his services or that his contract would not be renewed again. And really that put another slap on the face in regards to the industry because, well, as you know, SIRDI is the arm that look forward into varieties and technical support to the farmers, and they have had an amount of machinery that give services to the farmers. And with this that is going on without presenting clear situation why this is happening, as a farmer, I only see it like a slap on the face, rather than moving forward into a better direction where services can be granted to the farmers and where benefit can be granted to the farmer. This is only like a political move to remove people that work professionally then and don't work with siding with the political issues of any politician. And that is how I am seeing things right now. And really, it will really have a hurt in the industry.
When we come back, the Sea to Shore Alliance is shoring up its Manatee Rescue Initiative.
Ho, ho, ho.
The UK's exit from the European Union is nearing, and with recent elections in the country, the result has empowered Conservative Party leader Boris Johnson to effect the Brexit deal. The UK media cites Prime Minister Johnson's call for the elections as a means to increase his parliamentary majority and end months of deadlock over the UK's exit from the European Union. The election is hailed as one of the most unpredictable elections in decades. It's the UK's third general election since 2015. Today, UK High Commissioner to Belize Claire Evans commented on the recent elections and Brexit.
What I can really say is, of course, there was a mandate for the Conservative government that no one expected, including them. But it is great for any country to have a mandate that allows a government to get on and deliver what it wants to do. Now, I know that we'll wait and see what comes out of the next few days. You know we will exit the EU by the end of January, and then we will start on the other work that comes. Some of that will be about trade work.
The UK is one of Belize's leading trade partners. Will there be any variance in this trade relationship, particularly as it relates to the bananas that Belize sells to the UK? And sugar, sorry.
So at the moment you are covered under a CARICOM agreement. Right. That means that everything continues to go forward as is at the moment while we go through our transitionary period. But clearly, as we go through a transitionary period, we need to get those all-important trade agreements in place for when we are Global Britain and doing things slightly differently, and that's going to come in the next year.
The University of Belize has been enjoying the spotlight with some of its students excelling in various sectors. Recently, Abby Godoy won the prestigious Commonwealth Caribbean Rhodes Scholarship. Today, UB says that its nursing graduates excelled in regional examinations for nurse registration. According to a release, 70% of UB graduates who sat passed the exams on their first attempt. 68 persons from Belize sat the exam in October 2019. 30 were successful. Of that number, 29 are UB graduates. Damaris Torres, a June 2019 nursing graduate, had the highest examination score for Belize. The RENR exam is a standardized regional exam administered by the Caribbean Examination Council, which the Nursing Council from the Commonwealth Caribbean uses to determine whether or not a candidate is prepared for entry-level nursing practice. Today, the Sea to Shore Alliance received a brand new truck for the Manatees. The $17,000 truck and its trailer will be used to transport the manatees. The Manatee man, Jamal Galvez, says that the current transportation being used is not always able to carry large manatees, so there is need for the new wheels. They called out the media to the ribbon cutting this afternoon, where donor partners, British High Commission, PACT, and Marfund also spoke with reporters. Here's more.
Acquiring these assets are critical for our efforts. As you guys know, we work with very large marine mammals. We were able to safely secure a smaller truck through the support of Boeing and Boeing, but sadly the truck has been outgrown by the manatees that we've been seeing over the past period of years. These animals sometimes get up to 1,000 pounds to 1,200 pounds, so you needed a truck that can take much load. This truck isn't for an everyday use. It's mainly only for the rescue of manatees, so it's not used to pay bills or to do educational and awareness efforts. That's why we have a smaller truck to do those things. So this truck will be mainly only for transporting of injured, orphan, or critical care manatees across the country. And as you do mention, it requires care, it requires to be kept up to date. And we do have supporters that fund those kind of things.
The High Commission sponsors a number of projects every year. We've particularly concentrated on conservation this year, and so Sea to Shore Alliance was one of the projects that we really like the look of. So we were happy to put some financial support behind it. But the other thing that's so important is putting the support that gets the message out there, and that's why it's great to talk to all of you today, so we can get the message out there of how good this work is, how much support they need, both financial and also just commitment. People to learn more about the manatees and about the problems that we cause them with our boats, with our own behaviour.
This time around they came to us with a request for $20,000 to again co-finance the purchase of this vehicle to assist again in advancing their work in manatee conservation. So when they came to us, we went through our processes, and of course the result today is the inauguration of that vehicle.
We found it very important that we help to contribute and support to such a worthy cause as the conservation of our manatees. As you know, manatees in Belize is a household name, and there's a sense of pride and ownership by the people of Belize as it relates to our manatee population. Unfortunately, these animals have been quite severely impacted, I should say, and so it's important that we work with our collaborators and our partners, including entities like the Protected Areas Conservation Trust, who is a founding member of the Mesoamerica Fund in protecting and conserving this very important keystone species.
Coming up after the break, it's the time to be giving. We head over to St. Martin's and the Leo Bradley Library, where children were having a jolly good time.
report with a global perspective.
The children of the St. Martin's area of Belize City attended their anticipated annual Christmas party today. The festive event is now in its 9th year, and each year it keeps growing. The kids were treated to food and plenty entertainment. The bouncy house turned out to be a huge attraction. All in all, they had a jolly good time on Lawrence Avenue. Here's News 5's Isani Caetano.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, and for these kids who have come together from all corners of St. Martin's, it's an annual event that is much anticipated. The Lakers Community Christmas Party is in its 9th year, and each time the gathering is held, a new feature is added.
The bouncy house good, the popcorn thing there good, the food good, the painting good.
This year, there's a popcorn stand as well as a bouncy house.
We added some entertainment this year. As you see, we have the bouncers, we have the snow cones, we have the candy cane machine. We add as we go along. So the more we get, the more kids come.
Today, this end of Lawrence Avenue has been blocked off from vehicular traffic, and the young partygoers have all converged on the location with their parents. For Kemar Bennett, it's his first invitation, and he has heard all about it from a close friend.
It's been fun, real good. We talk about our feelings and things, my friend.
The music, the food. Are you looking forward to any particular gift, being able to enjoy the bouncy house and that kind of thing?
Yes, sir, a lot.
Visiting from Los Angeles this year is Fred Dixon. He is well known among Belizeans in the diaspora. His trip, however, is about giving back to the community.
It's excellent. You know, these kids really look forward to this every year, especially the kids here in the community. And I think, well, I know it's just kind of like a reinvestment back in your community, you know, giving back to your community. And I think everybody should do that. I encourage all the business people, because this is where your grassroots of your business is.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isana Cayetano.
This morning, the Leo Bradley Library also held a Christmas party to culminate a series of literacy programs held throughout the course of the year. Over 100 kids attended today's event, which featured musician Brad Patico and Myrna Manzanares. The event was organized by Sarah Castillo, library assistant with the National Library Service.
We call it our annual whole year reading. It's a children's party that we do every year to end off the programs that we usually have throughout the year.
Now, what are some of those programs and what does this mean for the kids who participate every year?
Okay, some of those programs include summer program. We have our interactive reading. We have our child stimulation month activities. We have different programs during the year, like International Literacy Day, where we usually participate in. The Christmas party for the kids is just like we say, to end off the programs, a little incentive for them, a little enjoyment for them. We want to have it, yes, we have educational goals, but we want them to have fun at the same time.
Now I see you guys brought up Brad Patico to perform for the kids, and it seems as if though perhaps there's a generational gap between Brad Patico and these young kids who may not be familiar with Belizean music.
Yes, that is true, but this is just to introduce them or to reintroduce them so that they can be familiar with what happened in the past around Christmas time, the music that they would have enjoyed, and now we bring them here so that they can enjoy it.
And that's the news. Don't forget that tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Marlene Coyar. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, good night.